What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Today we're here with this 11 grand Caravan again. I just did a video on how to replace that wheel bearing and another one on how to replace the lower control arm. And then in the meantime, I'm also changing out the sway bar link and the outer tie rod end. Got all that. And some of you might want to see how to put all this back together. Some of you may get it figured out, that just reverse order how you did it, but some of you might want to see how this all goes back together, and that's what we're going to show you right now. Before I begin, I wanted to thank today's video sponsor, which is, well, y'all, the viewer, all you guys that watch the channel and are subscribed and all that. I appreciate every one of you. I couldn't do it without you. And if you haven't already, give that video a subscribe, or give the channel a subscribe and the video a thumbs up, and all that good stuff. And there's also a channel membership button if you want to join. I don't have any channel members at the moment, but once I start getting some of those, I'll think of something. I'll do some giveaways or something. I'll figure something out. But at the moment, it's just there if you want it. There's also super thanks. If you're feeling generous and want to leave a small donation, that'd be fantastic. But no pressure. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. Perfect. Just hit that subscribe button. Costs you nothing. Helps me out a ton. And yeah, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, enough of that chatter. Let's get on with what you actually came here to see. So what we're going to do, we're going to control arm. It tucks in up here, like so, and up into there. Maybe if it'll go. Then you've got the nut that you took out, the nut bolt combo goes on this back side, bolt up, or bolt goes up this direction with the nut on top. You might need to climb underneath it. Make sure you got your jack stand and all that good stuff in place before you get too far with it. This stuff in there. Come on, you can do it. It's kind of a tight fit sometimes. Sometimes you got to kind of work at it a little bit to get that to go in. There we go. Hope I'm not in your way. Looks like you can see pretty good. Kind of a tight fit up in there for your hands. If you got big hands, you might have a hard time. But you just get that started. You don't need to tighten it up just yet. And then let me climb out of here so you can kind of get an idea where I'm going from here. And then you grab your other one that came out. Looks like this. Goes just in the front here. There's no nut. It's just a... Might have to give it a little tappa with the pry bar and hammer. Where'd my hammer go? It's around here somewhere. There it is. Okay, you might just need to give it a little bit of motivation. And just give it a little bit of a couple nice little love taps there. And then there's my other pry bar. It's around here somewhere. I don't need that big, huge one. This little teeny one may not be quite long enough. Put a little pry bar down in there. Pry that up if needed. Or climb back underneath it. A little tap with the hammer. Right there, perfect. And just run your bolt through. Need to pry on it a little bit to get it to where Actually start in the hole. Start. Okay, what's going on here? I need to give a couple little wiggles until you get it to get the threads to start, because they're still not starting. Get the threads to start. Sometimes this can be a little bugger. Sometimes just kind of give it little jiggles, wiggle around it a little bit until you find the threads. Okay. Pause it here and do this off camera so you can kind of. So you're not just sitting and watching me fight this thing. So we're gonna do this off camera, get that started. You just gotta kind of wiggle it around until you can get the threads to start. Sometimes they fight a little bit, but it's not too bad. All right, so I got that rear one and that front one all tightened up. Kind of a bugger to get in. You have to kind of jiggle it around, and you know the drill. But if you've worked on a car, you know that sometimes getting bolts back in the holes and stuff like this can be challenging. So next step is your lower ball joint bolt part goes. Just push that down and feed it into that hole there. Then you'll run your nut down there with your bearing in the way. I did a whole separate video on how to change out this bearing. If you want to watch that, link will be somewhere up here in the corner, one of the corners, or in the description or something. But I'll make sure I put a link to this in the video somewhere, so you can go back and watch that. But anyway, after that, we do your nut, which is, where is the nut? It's in here somewhere. It's around here somewhere. Give me 1 sec. Let me go find that, and I will be right back. All right, so I found the little castle nut that comes with it. This one is castle nut and cotter pin, so it's good. You're gonna have to get a cotter pin in there. So to do that, you just rub it on with your hand, and then you tighten it down. Wouldn't hurt to turn this a little bit so you can get your wrench on it. I believe it's an 18 millimeter. 18 or 19. Looks like it is a 19 millimeter. And I'll put links to everything you'll need. Wrench sets, socket sets, you know, all that good stuff down there in the description. That way you know everything you're gonna need. You might need to lay down on the ground here and see if I can move this. You might just have to kind of like lay on the ground a little bit and just work it. You know, you might have to, with the hub in the way and the axle, you might have to open it and wrench it part of the way. I can get a normal box wrench on it, which helps. Just gonna have to feed it in by hand the whole way. Well, not a big deal. Nothing you can't handle. If you made it this far, doing this is kind of nothing. Doing this is the easy part. Make sure you get all your grease fittings greased up. You have to run it to a shop if you don't have any grease to grease them up with. If they come with grease, the lower ball joint does not, but the outer tie rod does, and my sway bar link does. So have to run by a shop and get some grease and grease those up. Or if you have a grease gun, go ahead and grease those up. Make sure you grease everything up. It saves the life of all your parts. They don't go out on you quite so fast next time if you grease them. You want this to be pretty tight. does kind of hold the car together, so you want to make sure it's pretty tight. It doesn't necessarily hold the car together, but it definitely holds part of the car, part of the main part of the car together. So make sure you just get it to where you can get your cotter pin in. You know how to run a castle nut. Just make sure you get it to where you can get your, I'll show you here what a, in case you don't know what I mean by castle nut. Castle nut looks like a castle. See how that, and then it has a hole there. You have to line that up. Line one of those so you can get your cotter key through there. That's how that works. In case you didn't know, that's when I say castle nut, it's a nut that looks like a castle, basically. You know, looks like the top of a castle nut. And then you just line this one of those slots up with that hole so you can run your cotter key through. And this is cotter key. It might be a pain in the butt to get down in there, but you do got to make sure you put that cotter key in there. It is important. And to do a cotter key, you got to have a cotter key and a pair of pliers or needle nose or some wire cutters, you know, just so you can bend it. And sometimes these you have to kind of bend them as you go because you can't get it all the way in, so you have to kind of give it a little tweak as you're sliding it in, kind of bend it a little so you can get it all the way. That way it goes all the way in. And just give it a fold. Fold one end over. Perfectly fine like that. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but you just fold it over. I'll show you more how it works on the tie rod end, how the cotter key works when I get the tie rod end in. Okay, so you got your control arm put in. We got all that good stuff done. So now while we have our tie rod out, we'll go ahead and throw our brakes together. So we want to move this over here. And then we just grab our rotor. Which I also did new brakes and rotors. I have a video from the past where I did brakes, so I didn't do a video this time of doing brakes because, you know, you don't need to see it that many times. But I did lose a brake pad from the caliper when I was hanging it up here. So I'm just going to zip this on real quick. It's not a bad idea to Loctite these caliper bolts. I lost my Loctite, so I'm going to have to maybe do that another time. But it's a good idea to throw at least some blue Loctite on these caliper bolts, just to keep them from... Actually, I can't throw my brake together yet. Why didn't you say I had to put the backing plate on? Come on, people. Where are you at? Help me out, too. Let's pull this back out. Rehang this up there like so. If I can get that back on there, just rehang that so that it's on. It's a good idea to hang that so it doesn't flop down. But anyway, backing plate. You guys are supposed to help a brother out, man. Alright, so we'll put this backing plate on, grab our little 10mm bolts. Little 10mm bolts right here. You got 3 of them. Let's go right in here. You got your wire, you got to kind of work around so you don't pinch your wire and all that good stuff. Make sure it goes in good. I guess this doesn't necessarily have to be there, but it's definitely a good idea to have this there. It's got that little, It's just your ABS wire kind of giving us a little bit of fits. Okay, there we go. Got that started. Drop this one down in the bottom here. Had to take this off. For one, it makes it a little easier to get the ball joint off of there, so you're not smacking it around with a hammer. And you gotta take it off to get the bearing out. So I just left it off because I needed it out of the way. Just to do the bearing. Well, you gotta take it off to do the bearing, but you don't have to take it off to do the control arm. It just helps keep it out of your way. That way it's not fighting you. You're not having to go back and rebend it, because when you're smacking on it with a hammer, you might tweak it a little bit. So we don't be needing that. So we just took it off, left it off while I did the control arm. But it's just these 3 bolts. One more down below. Just 1/4 inch drive, 10 mil. Either way, 10 mil. That's what it is. That's a 10 millimeter, which you probably don't have, because 10 millimeters are like the most lost tool out there. Everybody loses their 10 millimeters. Anyway, so now we can put our brake pads and rotors and stuff back on. Okay, so we got a rotor. Put our caliper on. Now I am putting this on without this inner pad on, because I lost the inner pad, but it's just a little easier to do it this way. You put the bracket back on and then remove the caliper. Or it's easier, says me. Some people might just throw the pad back in and stick it on. Well, okay, if you do you. If you can do that, awesome. More power to you. And you know, it's technically less work to just throw the pad in, but I'm going to do it my way. And then where is my impact? Impact is over here. I'm going to impact them in with a wobble. They're a 21 millimeter. Let's just hit them with an impact and a wobble. Boom. Boom. And then to get the caliper off, it's just a 13 millimeter. I'll show you how easy that is. That's a 12. Where's my 13? There's my 13. Or wait. That's a 14. Where's my 13? There's my 13. 13 millimeter. And all you have to do is hit the bottom one. Just have to take the bottom one out. You don't have to take the top one or anything. Because all you gotta do is lift the caliper one side. Just lift it up like so. Boom. Throw your pad back in. Gotta find what I did with my pad. There's my pad. Just drop the pad back in like it goes. Like that. Then you lower your caliper back down. Put your bolt back. See, that's how easy it is. I mean, if you can put that in without having to relift your caliper, that's fine. It's just one more little bolt. That quick, that simple. Sorry, you're not even seeing what I'm doing. It's just that one little bolt on the bottom of the caliper. Lift your caliper up. Boom. And then that's that. Run your cordage from here. Drop that down in there. Run you over here. You just pop these in here, like so. That one in there, like so. Back behind the brake, and then up, like so. This one goes up like that. Get it to drop in there. Kind of hard one-handed here. Let me put you down and angle you up a little bit. Okay, so we just slip that in there like so. Then we plug it in. There's these 2 little clips that go in there. We just plug it in. Plug it in. Like they say in that commercial. sometimes it's hard to get it to click. Sometimes you have to grab like some pliers and, oh, I lost my little clicky. Okay, so I lost my little clicky on that, so I'm gonna have to kind of zip tie it together to hold it together. So, lost a little clippy part that holds it in. Famous for that, but I'll take care of that off camera. I'm just gonna zip tie it together, and then zip tie it to the, and then I'll zip tie it to the little clip so that it stays in there, so that it's good. Might get some ABS light issues, but you know what? Fine by me. Okay, now what we're gonna do, I mean, it's not fine by me, but you might get, if that comes unplugged, you're gonna get an ABS light basically, and your ABS won't work. That's basically what I was getting at there. Was, but I'm gonna zip tie it in there so that it stays, so that I don't get that problem. And with this, you've got this whole big old, you know, once you get this in, it looks like it's going to be too long, but really you just kind of pry down on that pry bar, or on that sway bar, you get a pry bar, get your long bar, the longest one you got. I got it here at 36 incher, and then you just pry down on this sway bar. You might have to put actually the, you know, you might actually have to kind of muscle it down a little bit. Get it to go in that hole there. Yeah, it's kind of a muscly there. Let me move you over here so you can see a little better here. Right, there we go. And so I don't knock you over if I happen to fall. So you got that much room there. You just gotta pry down on this sway bar, which it doesn't seem like it wants to pry down very much. So what we're going to do is we're going to get my floor jack under the lower control arm here. One second here while I kick some of this crap out of the way. You're going to be able to put your floor jack right there under the lower control arm and jack up on it a little bit. Sorry if I'm just kind of jack that up a little bit just so that it's not, that should be good. And that kind of gives you a little bit more room there to work with. I think. Kind of looked like it did, but anyway, let's pry down on this sway bar again here. Let's see if you can see what I'm doing here. How to keep an eye on the camera here so that you're actually seeing what I'm doing. Okay, and then you just pry down on that just enough to get it into that little slot there. You might need to pin it. You need to push down on that just a little to get it in there. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, they're tight to get in, but it can be done. You just hit that with that. And these ones actually have a bolt head in the back, so you can kind of, so you can get that on there. It's an 18 millimeter, wherever that went. And all these tools, and I can never find the one I'm looking for. It's an 18 millimeter, and you get your 18 millimeter on your impact, at least for the top one. The bottom one, you're going to have to run it in by hand because it's hard to get to your. Need to get my deep 18. My deeper 18. My deeper 18. There we go. Oh, that's okay. I think started rounding it out, so I think it's a 17 on that one. I probably should have double checked that before I started running it down with an 18. Rounding the thing out. It's a 17. 17, by the way. Not an 18. The old one was an 18. Go figure. Why not? Okay, and that's pretty much it. And then the tie rod end. You know, make sure you tighten that lower one down. 17 mil, 18 mil. Gotta run it from the back side. You know, the nut on the back. You'll just have to run that in by hand. Get a ratcheting wrench and your 18 mil. And then your tie rod end. Show you how to do that one real quick here. Where's my new tie rod end? Tie rod end. Check your inner. Okay, all right, let's see here. Where are we at? Let's get you down there where you can see what I'm doing again. Tie rod end. I apologize for the video quality here. I'm just kind of trying to hustle through this and show you how quick and easy it is. You know, some of you might not think it's very easy, but it's really not too bad. Anyway, just spin that on. I didn't count threads because I just unloosened that just barely enough to where it's like one back off turn there, and that's exactly where it came off at. You are still going to want to get an alignment, but at least doing tie rod ends, you got to get the alignment done. You don't necessarily have to do the alignment for the control arm necessarily. It's not a bad idea to have it checked, but even the wheel bearing, you don't have to do an alignment for that either. Some shops might tell you you do, but shh, you really don't. So if they say, oh, we got to align it, say, I'll take it to my alignment guy or something. Just don't let them talk you into an alignment necessarily. Unless you're doing the tie. If you're doing the tie rod end, you have to. But control arm, wheel bearing, you don't have to. Okay, so you just tighten down that nut there. And then that other one on your sway bar link. And this thing's pretty much good to go. Make sure you pump up your brake. Throw your tire back on. I'm sure you can figure out how to throw a tire back on. If you've come this far, you know how to do a tire. Anyway, links for everything will be down below. Just keep an eye. Links for all the other videos I've done. There's a playlist on my channel. It's under 2011 Grand Caravan. All the videos I've done on this thing will be on there. So, yeah, go check it out. Thank you all for watching. Go ahead and end it here. I think you can figure out from here what to do. So, appreciate y'all. Y'all are the engine of the channel, not me. I'm just the guy behind the camera. If it weren't for y'all, I wouldn't be doing this. So, appreciate y'all. Subscribe, thumbs up. You know the drill, YouTube stuff. Super thanks if you're interested, if you're, you know, feeling generous. But if not, just a simple subscribe. Cost you nothing. Appreciate y'all. Love you. And I'll see you in the next one.